Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and today we're looking at the most recent chapter of Black Clover. With the early release, I believe it's a bank holiday or some type of holiday in Japan. It was an early release of Shonen Jump, and basically because of that we're getting early releases of a lot of the chapters. So I was hoping to read and review this yesterday. Unfortunately I wasn't able to do that, but while I was at work in my lunch break, on one of my breaks, I managed to read it. So I want to point out and just give a quick shout out to Joshua Peters. He did send me a link, but at that point I'd already read it, but thank you very much anyway. Now, as mentioned in previous videos, I'm in the process of redesigning my branding, my imaging, my thumbnails, my openings, my channel in general. So any suggestions for this specific series, for those who actually read the manga, actively participate in the comment section below, please share your thoughts down there, what you think I should do design wise to represent this channel in a thumbnail and an opening, and all comments will be taken on board, and any suggestions that are funky and creative I will definitely look to find a way to use and implement that into my opening or my channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into this review. So, as always, I like to point out this is a 5-point review on the 5 things I found interesting about this chapter. There are probably many points in there. There's no top 5, bottom 5, best, worst, or anything like that. It's just the 5 I find interesting. Now, one thing I've always liked about this manga in general is the comedy and the easy to follow nature of this. It can be quite hectic, quite 0 to 100, but it's easy to follow. And one element that I enjoyed this chapter was the conversations between Asta, Yuno, Charmy and Belle getting jealous that Asta knew Yuno, and Yuno never really smiling around her, and then how Charmy relationship with that was all kind of cool and funny, and Finral being the one left out, so that was kind of cool to see. We had some conversations about Yuno growing taller, and effectively Asta not growing so much. It was kind of that Naruto-esque kind of vibe where he was a bit of a shorty pants when he was young, and then by the end of it, probably grew nice and tall. When it was one of the taller members of that generation. So that kind of thing was cool. Finral being in the background, being ignored, sets up point number 2. The brothers re-meet. So the brothers meet up. The encounter between Rangels and Finral. Again, just to kind of re-emphasize the point as well in this chapter, they mention again that he is the vice captain of the Golden Dawn, the second in command. I know there was some translation issues last time it was covered, so I wanted to kind of recover that again to specifically point that out. Now, originally I was hoping that if Finral's brother could be anything like Finral, like his older brother, he'd be at least somewhat likable, but it turns out to be a complete prick. And you can understand why, because he's now going to be the head of the family, and he's basically the second in command at, the Golden Dawn, and so there's a lot of things going for him. He's doing well, he's from a wealthy family more than likely, and you can see why he's pompous and stuck up his own ass. So I was hoping that there would be something there, but he was just pompous. He called Black Bulls an orphanage. What I did like though, and this is not necessarily related to the actual story in general, but every manga chapter this week has had a reference to Kochikame, and this reference was to do with Asta having the manly eyebrows and saying he's a manly man. I really like that. I really like the fact that each mangaka in their own way is paying homage to the author of and the character of Kochikame, which after 40 years finished. So I like they did that. Oda did that with his cover, and he had like a wanted poster with it, and he had the Kochikame character in the background, and he drew over it for the eyebrow shape. And then now we've got this and this one. So I like that idea. But they get interrupted by the third general, who is proven to be alive, and that goes on to point number 3. So the third Shining General is alive. Remember when I said last week what the hell is going on with Finral's brother and the third general? This got answered. I like the fact that the question wasn't left too long, and they got answered really quickly, and they got it out of the way. So it turns out he was supposed to have been taken care of. He's basically now come back, and he's abducted some citizens on the way. Now this showed the difference between the mentality of some characters. Bearing in mind, Yuno is also from the Golden Dawn. He's a vice captain. He's one of the elites. Apparently he's in their special team, but he still protects everybody and does his best to protect people. Whereas Finral's younger brother Rangels had a different opinion. He goes, oh look, I'll just have to, sacrifice these members of the, citizens of Saiten. So this got stopped by Finral. Finral stepped in, Asta jumped in, Charmy jumped in, and using their combination play, they basically dealt with the bad guy. What I liked about it, when Zoro, I even call him Zoro, Asta was flying through the sky getting teleported. He had the sword in his mouth like Zoro from One Piece, and it was very Zoro-esque the way he did it. Kind of reminded me of the scene where even in the anime when Zoro gets thrown by one of the members that are in the Grand Fleet with the bowling arm throw. He has the sword in his mouth then as well, in that way he was flying. So I like that Zoro-esque type of element to it. So they deal with him, and then it becomes a declaration of war. So the declaration of war. Earlier in the chapter we have Rangels talking about how Finral can't fight, and he's the black sheep, so to speak, of the family, and he's the shame of the family. And Finral basically says, you can say what you want to me, but do not diss my friends. And he goes, I might not be as competent as a fighter as you, but we, the Black Bull, will take down Golden Dawn. And I like the fact how the dynamic is. So it's not like they're close or anything like on the ranking system, because Golden Dawn has supposedly been above and beyond everybody else, and basically the Black Bulls are the bottom of the barrel from a ranking point of view. So the fact that declaration has been made shows they have a belief in themselves. And it's also been shown in previous arc, especially like the Water Temple arc, that the members of Black Bull aren't weak by any means. They've just got their own quirks that makes them not as socially acceptable as other members of other orders. So that's why they like the riffraff, the outcasts, the people that are overlooked, but that doesn't make them weak. If anything, they're above a middle tier mage, and if the whole teams are like that, or the whole kind of crew is like that, there's a good chance that they can be number one, and they can only get stronger, right? They're not going to get weak at any point. So I like the idea that we had a declaration of war that made it point blank clear that we are coming to take you down. We are going to overthrow you. We're going to show you we're better, whichever way it's going to be, whether it's going to be teamwork, by achievement, by being stronger. That I like that. I like that it was made so clear. And that's point number 4. Point number 5. Let's not mistake it. This was an ending to a chapter. The one thing that Black Clover has on point is its cliffhanger ending. The second thing it has on point is the fact that it goes from 0 to 100 very, very quickly. And the third thing is the easy to follow storyline. I like the dynamic and the way the direction these chapters are going. Way back when we first introduced to Light as a character full on, we could see his face, his character design back in the 47th chapter in the snow, the mini arc where the children get captured and he turns up. At that point, one of the things I mentioned, if you go back and watch my videos, is don't you think Light looks a lot like William? And he's been suspicious before that, he's been suspicious after that. They even probed him, not physically probed him, I mean like with questions. That'd be weird in a manga, wouldn't it? Especially for a shonen, not a seinen. But anyway, they probed him full of questions, and then they even interrogated the people that were captured from the Third Eye. That renegade terrorist team. I know the Third Eye is like a select group, but never mind. Anyway, Midnight Eye, I think they're called. Anyway, so either they had that thing going on, and then we had a curveball with one of the captains being corrupt, or a bit grey, I guess, doing his thing to get to the top. So there's a bit of small talk, and Yami goes, I always follow my gut. Would you mind taking off your mask, William? And I was like, oh my god, are we gonna address this straight away? So here's a few things. This could be a curveball. This could be something that can throw us off. Here's a few things that can happen. Number 1, although the character design looks the same, the face might be completely different. Number 2, he could be a clone. Number 3, he could be a brother. Number 4, he could just actually be licked. Number 5, he could be using some type of transformation magic and change his face. kind of like liar. Number 6, he might actually just be liar. So there's so many things that could potentially happen in this, in the open world of magic, that don't be disappointed if it's not straightforward, because that only makes it more interesting. So I just wanted to throw those quick points out. There's so many different ways we can go with this. I'll leave it out there in the open. I'm sure people have a million and one different ideas. Hope you enjoyed the chapter. Hope you joined the review. Give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section below what you thought of my points. If they spurred any kind of creativity or just your own opinions, let me know in the comment section below of any detailed findings that I might have missed. And as always, if you haven't, please subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. I'll see you next time. Peace.